Yeah, once they put me on the operation table, then they put, like, the mask on.
Okay.
And they're like, count down. They're like, are you going to fight it? And I'm like, no, I've been through this. Like, I'm knocking out. I know how this works. Like, all right, we'll count down from 10. I made it to, like, 7. I went, like, 10, 9, 7. Out. Yeah.
Did you wake up on the operating table before you were supposed to?
No.
I've done that.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
Do you want to hear mine?
Let's hear
It's
it. Yeah,
pretty.
scary.
It's kind of fucked up.
I could not imagine. That sounds terrible.
It's It was best case scenario, but it was bad. All right, so little me. No, not little me. I was like 19.
Little me 3 years ago.
Little me from 3 years ago. I had to get my tonsils removed. I was born with like really large tonsils.
Oh, yeah.
So growing up, I was always sick. Strep throat, tonsillitis, mono, over and over and over. Always sick, right? And I was like, I got to get these things out. So I was actually the first one. I think my surgery was at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And there were 7 other people who were there to get their tonsils out too. Also, they didn't tell me that I wasn't supposed to smoke weed like 2 weeks before my operation because it could interfere with the anesthesia. Mm-hmm. And living in Humboldt County, you'd think they would mention that. You'd think they would like, hey.
Yeah, big weed community over there.
Big weed community, you know, big stoner over here. I smoked on the day of my operation, like before I went to the hospital. So I got
at 5
there.
a.m. before the hospital.
Literally.
Smart.
I was like, I gotta get a ripping. I better smoke before I go.
Gotta calm your nerves before you go to the hospital.
Better smoke a bowl before I go. Exactly. So my pre-op nurse was very nice. She was super sweet. And they were getting me ready. I was in my gown, and then they roll me into the operating room. So I'll go to the operating room. They haven't given me anything yet or anything. And so then they move me onto the glass. Like you remember, like, did they put you on a not glass but like a metal table? It was hella cold.
Yeah. It was covered though, so I didn't really notice how cold it was.
They didn't cover mine.
I was geeking
freezing.
on morphine at the time, so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they put me on there, and they're like, all right, countdown from 5. I get to like 3, and I knock out.
Yep.
I wasn't supposed, and they were like, all right, you're going to wake up in the waiting room.
They didn't ask you, like, have you smoked? When was the last time you ate? All that stuff?
Nope.
Wow, that's dumb. That's bad.
So they count down. I knock out. I'm supposed to be waking up in the waiting room. I didn't wake up in the waiting room. I wake up on the operating table. But I'm conscious, right? But like my eyes are closed. And I like open them like a little bit, right? And then I'm like hearing them talk, and like they just finished. And I'm drooling into a bag, like on the side of the table, just drooling so much. And then I hear them, and they're like, oh, you can always tell who the smokers are because they drool the most. And in my head, I'm loopy in my head, but I'm awake, I'm conscious. And I'm thinking like, well, like, I want them to know I smoke weed and not cigarettes. So, like, that's what I'm thinking about. So I raise my hand and I go, weed. I go, weed. And then I just pass back out.
You used all your energy to say weed.
Yeah, I hear them all laughing as I'm, like, going back under. And then I woke up in the operating table.
Okay, that could have been way worse, because I've heard, like...
And, like, after I woke up in the waiting room, I was there in the waiting room for 12 hours, violently throwing up and passing out. And then every other person who got their tonsils taken out after me, these 7 other people, they had all gone home and I was still there. I think it was because of the weed, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, before surgery, they tell you to, like, stop smoking, like, a week in advance or something like that.
I'm definitely not going to make that mistake next time.
It also depends on the type of surgery, like the severity of it.
Okay.
Because, like, for my wisdom teeth, they were like, don't smoke anything 2 days prior.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. And then they were like, don't eat within, like, 12 hours.
Okay.
But I ate, and my surgery was at, like, 8:45, and I had canes at, like, 1 a.m.
Oh, so like 7 hours.
Yeah, and then they were like, yeah, I get there, like, when was the last time you ate something? I was like, oh, like 1. And they were like, okay, you're fine. No, but like I woke up in the middle of mine too, my wisdom tooth surgery. But I was so numb I couldn't feel anything. But I woke up, and since I woke up, I thought I never went under. And so after I like because I woke up and they noticed I was stirring, and so they gave me more anesthesia.
Okay.
And I woke up, and then since I woke up, they woke up like maybe right after they finished. When I actually woke up, I was like trying to figure out when I woke up in the middle of it. I was trying to like figure out the timeline.
Just over here doing math.
No, I was like, I probably sounded like an idiot to the nurse because I was like, are we done? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, what?